Yeah, just has anyway, I'm not against butt fucking, I guess. I'm not taking that stance. Um
I was just
any
checking. I don't know. You
No,
never
no,
know.
no.
You never
Enjoy
know.
yourself. You know
You
what
never
I
know.
mean? Like, is lot two consenting parties? Go for it.
Or more,
I
as long as there's
Or
consent.
more.
Or
Yes, I'm sorry.
more. I'm not gonna
Two
gatekeep your
plus,
pleasure.
two or more consenting parties. Yeah, I say go for it. But let's we're getting towards the 9:30 hour, so let's jump into the old WandaVision conversation, and I'm sure our daddy host will slide into the chat
Oh yeah,
at
sure it
some
will.
point along here.
Sure yeah.
And who knows? Maybe Neil Goldman will also slide in because we accidentally called him too. Um,
Can
so,
I just
uh,
say, what a fucking episode, dude! Like,
what
holy.
episodes?
Oh yeah, that's
Because
right. We haven't talked about it
we
since.
do technically have two, but actually, I'm really glad the second one came along because the first one I have very very little to say about. It is emblematic of a lot of the stuff that I haven't liked about WandaVision, but with a couple of like really good moments. But it has all of its flaws on display, whereas the next
Episode 7, right?
episode
Which one
is
was episode
much
7?
more. Okay, so seven is the Modern Family mockumentary episode, where Wanda has where she declares at the beginning of the episode, "I'm taking a personal day for myself," and then the boys are still there, so she has to, for a second time,
Oh, this
declare
is
she's
the
taking a
Monica
personal
gets her
day.
powers episode.
That is the good part, but it's also couched in stuff that I don't really care for, and couched in stuff about the show that I don't think works. And what I don't think works about the show is called S.W.O.R.D, and it's really boring. And they're really boring, and they don't add anything to the show. They're very boring, actually.
I, I yeah, I don't think we're yeah. I think that
I
Sword is
like
underutilized at this point, but I also think that this is mostly just like an introduction to Sword. I think Sword will get much cooler in later
But
movies.
but that's what I hate about it, is that it's just this thing that is here, and we know as an audience, I'm like, okay, well, S.W.O.R.D is going to be in more Marvel movies, but it's just wasting my time while it's here, not accomplishing
Well, I mean,
anything.
I don't know if it's not accomplishing anything. I think it does play an integral role in like the way that the story develops. I think without Sword and without the way that they have, introduced Sword within these contexts, I think without it there is no story to be told. I mean, they give us this complicated, with like, how do I even say this? Like, Sword is like the reason why this is happening. They give structure to this scenario. They give something to relate back to. Everything is then filtered in through the lens of Sword, of the people that work through Sword, and who Sword has pulled in. And I think as a structural device, which is quite frankly all it needs to be for this show, it does a good job. I think if we actually got a bunch more Sword, it might have detracted from what the story was truly about. Because the story is
No,
about
not a bunch
competition.
more S.W.O.R.D, zero S.W.O.R.D, or like
No, I don't think
this.
Zero
It's
Sword was the right answer either, though.
okay. Then this much S.W.O.R.D, but make it 80% more interesting, because I like the trio that we've had. I like Darcy, I like Wu, I like Monica,
Monica.
obviously, and I like all three of those performers quite a bit, and I think they are doing fine work. But for the last three episodes in a row, every time we cut to S.W.O.R.D, nothing was really accomplished. Nothing
I get
on
what
a
you're
story sense, not plot, I'm talking about a story sense, has been accomplished through this being here besides brand management.
What do you mean by that?
Harkin is okay, so like
Like, what do you mean
it's
by
just
story
been
sense?
it's just been this holding pattern of Wanda will do something, and then we cut to all of these characters to essentially just tell us what she's done, and to every so often say, "I'm going in," or "I'm sending a thing in," or what have you. But Harkin, is that his name? The man, the bad man.
I honestly don't know.
That's a big problem, is that we honestly don't, like, he has been in most episodes of this show.
I thought he was only been in like 2 or 3.
No, he's been in, I guess, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So he's been in most of this show and has not accomplished anything and has been the dullest opposition to what is happening. I'm not against there being opposition.
I think
and this has accomplished nothing. And Monica, all of our characters through the last 3 episodes are focal characters in this one at S.W.O.R.D have not advanced in their relationship to what is happening. It's just been spinning this wheel, and S.W.O.R.D bad. Also, S.W.O.R.D is so cool in the comics, but here they're just feds, and that's fine. But like they're space feds, so but now they're just like S.H.I.E.L.D. again, which like okay, that's fine. You're just doing S.H.I.E.L.D. again. That's cool. But it's just every time we cut to this, there's a couple like nice banter between our characters, but I feel as if I don't know why Darcy or Wu are here, besides just to be a friendly face on the outside, but that's why we have Monica. So why are these 2 characters here besides brand management? It's...
I mean, I get what you're saying. I'm also super okay with them just being there. I figure if we're gonna have, hey, S.H.I.E.L.D. needs to bring in experts because there's this, wacky situation happening around here, and they happen to bring in 2 experts that we already know loosely from other movies, and they don't play a massive role, but they're there. I like that. That to me, that's just more connections, and it rounds it out in a certain way. It's continuity. It just feels nice. And I don't really... It's not a problem to me. The one thing I will say, though, is... Caleb, do you know the bad guy from S.W.O.R.D? What's his name?
From what?
From S.W.O.R.D, the bad man.
Oh, like Sean Holloway or something like that.
Sean Holloway?
Yeah, exactly. None of us can name this dude's name, and he's been in most of the show. Until the
saying,
last 2 episodes, he's the antagonist, and we don't even know this fool's name.
I think that he is actually potentially going to play a pretty large role in this last episode. I think
But wouldn't it be cool if we knew anything about him and he was actually a good antagonist? Like, wouldn't that be better?
No, I don't think he's the antagonist.
Tyler Hayward.
Sure, okay. Hayward.
But no, I genuinely
a little too phonetically similar to Harkness, but that's immaterial.
Whatever. It's just for me, the way I look at it is Tyler Hayward. I very much see in this last episode that we're gonna get, right. First of all, we're gonna get the big fight scene because we haven't gotten a big fight scene yet, and it needs to happen.
We might not get a big fight scene.
We might not. You don't think so?
I think it will be a quieter fight scene, but still a fight
I think we're going to get a fight scene. We're going to see Monica fighting. We're going to see Agatha Harkness fighting. We're going to see Vision fighting. We're going to see White Vision fighting. And we're going to see Scarlet Witch fighting. We're going to see...
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. We have a fight. That's all cool.
But I do see this manifesting most... I do see it potentially tying things up with S.W.O.R.D really effectively in the end. Basically being because... the confrontation is going to switch a few times, and it's going to end up being we need to address the role S.W.O.R.D has played in this. And I don't necessarily see S.W.O.R.D... I don't know. I get what you're saying, but I don't necessarily agree. I'm I actually am totally okay with the loose connection S.W.O.R.D has to this, because S.H.I.E.L.D... with current continuity, S.H.I.E.L.D. still doesn't exist, right?
Yeah, but throw out current continuity. What are they adding to the show WandaVision? What are they... you are crafting a 9-episode piece, a mini-series. So every piece should be not just plot important, but should be important on a story level.
I genuinely don't think S.W.O.R.D takes away from this story at all. I think S.W.O.R.D is a really effective... group to tell the story through. I think it's a great way to connect all these characters. It really does a great job connecting things. And I don't think that they did it for WandaVision. I think they did it for the future.
Yeah.
That's what sucks about it.
No,
Exactly.
that's what I
So you
like
just
about
said
it.
what sucks.
Why does
but
that
I
suck?
like that
Why does
about
that
it.
suck?
I
for
like
you?
that
Because-
they're setting plans for the future.
Listen, plans for the future, but we've had 4 episodes of plans for the future. And it's dramatically inert is what I don't like about it. It's like,
I
and
disagree with that. I
also
don't
the
think
idea
it's
that they
inert
are
at all.
doing S.W.O.R.D, like, as someone that has read a lot of comic books featuring S.W.O.R.D, that thinks S.W.O.R.D is a cool organization, just knowing S.W.O.R.D exists is not interesting. They have to do something interesting.
This is a file. This is a S.W.O.R.D file. This is a S.W.O.R.D case. S.W.O.R.D has, this is in their domain. This case is under the purview of S.W.O.R.D. So it makes sense.
I'm not convinced that we won't get a show with Monica Rambeau leading S.W.O.R.D after this that feels like the X-Files.
But
They're made.
okay,
be
fine.
so
I
cool.
mean, the thing that sucks about it to me is that it's only set up for, it's only universe building, but that's what appeals to it for the two of you. So that's
Well,
why
no,
I
mean,
want to
that's
drop
not
the.
entirely
Take
it.
away
That's
from
not
it, though.
entirely it. That's not entirely it. So like, S.W.O.R.D's existence in the show is the existence of like the machine that's going to move on without emotion, because the rest of the show is built around emotion, right? And S.W.O.R.D's dismantling a fucking Avenger without any of the Avengers knowing. They do it 3 weeks after the end of Endgame. So none of the other Avengers know that Vision's being cut to pieces and reanimated. S.W.O.R.D's moving fucking loose cannon and doing something that's shady as fuck, rebuilding one of their people into what's going to be a pretty soulless machine, I imagine. Also, if he talks and James Spader's voice comes out, I will die. But it would,
I mean, that would be.
it would make sense.
Whoa.
And James
Could be
Spader's been on set. So
It could be a fun. Y'all gotta stop reading set reports. I'm sick of these spoilers for episodes that aren't even out yet.
I didn't.
but S.W.O.R.D is the existence of, like, I don't know if this is a perfect metaphor and it might get laughed at, but it seems like a metaphor for the evil corporation. Like
A metaphor. It is an evil corporation. A metaphor. It's an evil government corporation. But fine.
Yes. But
Sorry.
the existence of Wu and Darcy's going to show up in Thor: Love and Thunder. She's Jane Foster's friend. So bringing her back into the fold and making her important and making her work with S.W.O.R.D is going to be important.
But you could just do that in Thor: Love and Thunder. She just shows up with the government guys.
What's so bad about having her in this? Because she does not take anything away from this show. In fact, she adds something.
It's the same principle you get with shows that live in connected universes. Why the fuck, while I'm watching NCIS LA, does Jethro Gibbs from regular NCIS show up? He doesn't add anything. No, but it adds this creative and connective tissue to the entire universe. And if they had just had S.W.O.R.D full of people I've never heard of, that would feel more like they're just like, this is for later. Don't worry about it. This is for later. But the fact they have Wu, and the fact that Wu's learned the magic trick from Ant-Man, and that's how he introduces himself, and that they bring in Darcy, who's got all this background knowledge on information that these people that are running an organization that's meant to be studying this stuff don't already know because she's studied cosmic background radiation, is cool. And we get these characters that have these backstories that, instead of jumping into Thor: Love and Thunder, which we want to be about Thor, Love and Thunder, and being like, let's tell you all about what Darcy's been up to. I don't give a fuck about that. But in this side story, where she's also a side story, she can just fall into place and be the character that we remember, or didn't remember, but very quickly will then remember because she exists.
I think the other thing, first of all, I completely agree with.
I also strongly disagree that again, whatever the fuck his name is, I don't think he's the antagonist.
I don't think he's the antagonist either.
He has been He's not been the primary antagonist.
No,
he has been the primary antagonist. He's been the bad guy force who is trying to dismantle our heroes. But in a story sense, he has been the antagonist for those 4 episodes. I would actually
say, in a story sense, more so. In my opinion, in a story sense, I feel like he's actually been more so a foil to Monica than he has for anybody else. He's not an antagonist. The antagonist has always ambiguously been, maybe it is Natasha. Not Natasha. That's her name.
Wanda?
Hello?
I don't know,
what
man.
just happened? My brain.
Oh, no, that's weird.
No, it's ambiguously been like Wanda as like, is Wanda the baddie, right? It's an ambiguous moment. And then you've got the other characters that are trying to help her, and then it's like all the people from S.W.O.R.D are trying to help her, right? And then you realize that there's a split in the faction. There's our team, which is Monica, Wu, and Darcy. And then you've got Tyler Hayward. And then you've got him, and he's the foil. He is the bureaucrat that pulled everything together that's not actually telling you everything. He's supposed to be like a shitty Nick Fury, right? He's the guy that got the Avengers all together and then didn't tell them that they were working on certain weapons, right? He's got secrets. He didn't tell them that he's actually there to get Vision. He just has them there, and they're looking after Wanda, and they're going after two totally different things. And so, like, I genuinely believe this is one of those shows that because we've been watching it little by little by little, we excuse me, we have a different purview on this. But when we go back after this last episode comes out and we watch it and we go, oh my god, that was amazing, right? And then we go back and we watch the whole thing all at once because people are going to do a binge watch. The flow, the continuity, the amount of time that we spend on these other characters will make sense. Will absolutely make sense. I genuinely, and even if it is just like, there's not really a whole lot of S.W.O.R.D stuff in this, I'm like, I don't really mind, because it's like it's like, here's what the way I look at this, and I'm gonna relate this to Batman because that's what I do all the time. So excuse me, starting off, please forgive me before I even get there. But it's like watching a Batman movie, right? And there's there's cops, right? Because it's Batman, there's cops involved, and they're not there a whole lot, but they're there just enough to tie it together. And that's the role that I view S.W.O.R.D as in this. It's like, yeah, it's not about S.W.O.R.D, but they're the police that whose jurisdiction it is that this issue is happening. So naturally they're present. But I don't care that they're not there that often, because when I'm watching Batman, I'm not trying to watch.
No, my criticism is that they're there too much. If they were just kind of this thing that existed on the periphery, right? Because what we've essentially built here is exactly what they build in Die Hard. Is like, you have our person on the inside, you have the ally on the outside, and you have this bureaucratic network that is only getting in the way of our heroes, and you have the gruff old white man who is standing in the way of what our allies are trying to do for our heroes on the inside, right? That's essentially what we've built here. And I could be very surprised and feel satisfied at the end of this that it pays off as well as it does in Die Hard. It's just, Harkin has not been very interesting, and he's been around a lot, and I just think it's dialed for me exactly wrong. That like, if we wanted to have shadowy feds on the outside that we don't see much of, I would actually be fine with that, because that's kind of a cool...
that's what most of S.W.O.R.D is, in my opinion. I think he specifically, right? Because yes, S.W.O.R.D's barely in this. You just see minions, right? They walk around, and then you've got R3 that we've been following.
But you keep saying S.W.O.R.D's barely in. We just spend like a third of every episode with them. So I would just want
spend a third of every
little
episode
more
with Monica, Jimmy, and Darcy, who are loosely affiliated with S.W.O.R.D, right? Monica's mom was like director. She wasn't even allowed to work there anymore, so she's loosely attached to this project. Wu is an FBI guy that got pulled in, and Darcy's literally just an expert.
Your mic dropped out.
Mind it? Hello?
Yep, it's back.
Yeah, it did for a second.
Oh, so
it's fine. I don't want to talk about this. Can we talk about anything else about this now?
I was just gonna say, I think Tyler is literally just a face, and like his only function is to foil Monica. And I don't think that that's a bad thing.
So I also don't think that's true, because the every time we see Hayward before this, he's kind of in the air, anti-heroic, like maybe just I already said it, so I'm gonna say it again. Fuck it, a loose cannon who's trying to do something for his own personal gain. Mm-hmm. And it was up until like the near end moments of this last episode that we thought that Wanda broke into S.W.O.R.D in a rage and stole Vision's body.
Yeah, that was a wild turn.
We found out at the end of this episode, that's absolutely not what happened. She left. And so, like, now you have to go back and look at everything he's done and be like, oh, shit. So what is he actually doing? Right? And so, like, that's intriguing to me. Maybe it's not, like, A plot material, but they're not using it for the A plot, so I'm fine with it.
If they had built this guy into an interesting character, imagine how dynamite that would pay off in the moment. Not on a rewatch. Like, imagine
how little the show would have been about Wanda if you make
if you
never met into a full-fledged character.
If like, you take the scenes with him that already exist, but you to just give him a little more flesh on the amount of screen time they've already given him, which is not insignificant, and just like make it that much more interesting and textured so that this feels like some fucking drama.
I mean, I guess, I don't know. It's like, because I don't know. I feel it feels like, you know, you're like, I want less of them. You're like, but I want more of this, and I'm like, like
I said, it's calibrated exactly wrong. It's either need to be way less of the S.W.O.R.D as an entity, or more to build a proper.
I've actually been having a really great time with his whole thing, because after every episode, there's like something new that comes out about Vision, right? Also about Vision, and I really like the journey. Excuse me, the journey I've gone on with Hayward, because of how we're like, oh, he's trying to defeat Wanda. And then you find out, no, he's not trying to defeat Wanda. He's trying to track Vision. Oh, he's trying to get the Vision back. And then you're like, oh, he's not trying to get the Vision back. He's actually got his own plans with the real Vision. And he's trying to make his own, he's got his own ulterior motives. So, to me, there is a really dynamic spot that he's been playing in this show. But again, fundamentally, this is just like my opinion, man. You know.
I mean, that's and that's all I got for you. As well, is this is just my opinion. But like what you just described sounds like an interesting character, but they haven't made him an interesting character. And I don't want the show to be about that guy who has a name. It's something. I don't want this to be about him, but that doesn't mean I don't know. I want a little more from it. That's all I'm saying. I just want. Yeah. I expect the biggest media franchise in the world to rise to a certain level of drama, and when they don't, they disappoint me. That's all. That's all.
That's a weird place for me to be disappointed, because like this show's just not about him, and yeah, he exists in it, and that's cool. But like, I don't want a new villain to be introduced in this storyline, because the storyline's already good enough. I also think
he has been the villain. He's been trying to shoot Wanda, take things. He's the villain of the piece.
I mean, he's not, until this point. When he aimed at Wanda looked like a bad actor. Looked like a real dangerous fucking actor. And then she turns all of his guns on him, and you're like, this isn't fucking good. I wasn't happy that Wanda did that. I was like, fuck, this is bad. You would literally, like, looking back at this and being upset with it's weird, because in the moment we had no fucking clue what was going on.
I think one of the things that makes the show so good is the fact that it's very intentionally not cut and dry with who's good and who's bad. I think only at the end of this has it become a little bit more clear, oh, I don't like... He's definitely not a good guy. He is ambiguously bad, though. I don't think he's cut and dry bad. He's ambiguously bad because he's the one that's like, I'm trying to rebuild the Vision, even though he was explicitly asked nobody to do that. That is bad guy move 101, right? But
Wanda did it too, though. So
but Wanda didn't, though. Wanda created an entirely new one.
Yeah, she rebuilt him completely from scratch. She built another one.
But as in, like, in his will and testament, in his last will, they mentioned that he didn't want anyone taking his body and bringing him back online. And I guess Wanda does, but that's the same thing.
Wanda does it worse.
Wanda does the same thing, only it's still a gray area. So then if you look at Hayward and go, this is a bad guy, you have to go, okay, that also makes Wanda the bad guy, because Wanda did exactly the same thing he did. Right?
Also, let me point out that as much as we may or may not like this man, he knows way fucking more than he puts on. Because Wanda doesn't understand her powers. And he straight up looks at her and says she can resurrect loved ones, which she's never done. She has no idea she can do this. Why the fuck does he know that? He doesn't say it like, you could do this, right? He says it like, you are the only one that can do this.
When does this happen? What episode? Because
in this episode, because he's like, she's
which
looking,
this episode,
the most recent one, episode 8.
Okay, we're talking about the previous episode.
I think
that's fine.
Well, no, but I think it's pretty. No, I actually think that when he says that, we do have precedent for why he says that, because he knows that she didn't take Vision's body, and yet
he says
Vision
this.
is in
He
the
says
bubble.
this. He says this before the whole show starts. When she's
Right,
in the
he
facility
says it
visiting.
when she's looking at the body horror autopsy, right?
Oh, I
when
see
he's
what
all
you're
pulled
saying. I
apart.
see what you're
When he's
saying.
a pulled aparty man.
Yeah, and he says,
By the way,
you can
it's
resurrect
so
your loved
stunning
ones.
to look at.
And she goes, "What?
Yeah.
I can't." Which, fucking y'all, this episode makes it clear that the Scarlet Witch is an entity, right?
Yeah,
And
that
that
is
Agatha
okay.
knows
So I'm
about
very
the
curious to
Scarlet
get
Witch.
your
This is
thoughts, because Jason and I had a disagreement when we were texting before you'd seen it in
Briefly.
Friday afternoon, briefly, but to leave plenty of room to discuss it with the daddy host. We had a slight disagreement about what that meant, because I saw it as an Avatar thing, where it's a
She says,
reincarnation.
Sure.
when
if
Agatha
only
says, "You are the
because
Scarlet Witch."
yeah, when she says you're the Scarlet Witch, I saw it as this is the latest iteration of the Scarlet Witch, because when she pops open the Mind Stone in Hydra HQ, she sees a vision of that costume, which is very like Last Airbender shit to me, where it's like I see my predecessor, whereas Jace saw it more as a prophecy that was being fulfilled.
I see it
right?
almost like a
Interesting.
prophecy. I see it kind of like, I see it mostly as like a legend, right? I think if we're discussing witchcraft and like the occult as it's presented within this, naturally there's going to be something where, and the way that Agatha also talks about it, she goes, I've heard stories, but I didn't think it was real. The idea of the Scarlet Witch being this myth, right? This legend, if you will, within witchcraft.
Sokovian fortune teller.
Right. But like a legend within witchcraft discourse, basically being like, I've heard, there's a legend that there's one witch that can do all of this stuff without even thinking about it. And we refer to her as the Scarlet Witch. So then that's why she's like, oh my, and she's of course naturally this big bad witch that's like trying to gain as much power as possible. We believe it's still a little bit vague what her intentions are, but we know why she's there. She goes, you're the Scarlet Witch. I didn't think you existed, but you're the Scarlet.
Yeah,
when I
so
heard
I
the
think
Scarlet
that
Witch, I heard the Scarlet Witch. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I don't
yes.
think what you're saying is patently different from what Kevin's saying. And I think I'm on Kev's side. Like when the mind shut up, Kev. when the Mind Stone
We have agreed so little over the course of these episodes. I'm
clear.
happy
Let's be
we've
clear.
found.
Let's be clear.
Yes.
You have disagreed with me so much. That's where it is.
No, I had my own ideas. I don't just look at yours and say poo poo.
I mean-
I just happen to think poo poo. It's different.
Sure, that's slightly, yeah. Okay. Anyway,
I love you. I'm
I
sorry.
love you too. When the Mind Stone opens up and shows Wanda this vision, it's I think it's more reminiscent of there's an entity that is the Scarlet Witch, and that entity is what Agnes describes it as, right? You have power over chaos magic. You're the Scarlet Witch, which means Agatha does not. Agatha's
Sure.
doing other magic. And so, like,
Yeah.
there's a moment in the beginning of this most recent episode where you see Agatha trying to be executed by her coven because her path is diverted from theirs.
Dark magic, and especially too
Yeah.
early, right?
And I don't even know if it's dark magic. I think she was studying chaos magic because they were hitting her with a blue beam, and hers is purple, and blue and red mixed is purple. Like that seems on purpose.
Here's the
Secondly-
thing: the way that Marvel does a lot of their stuff, Caleb, that's Marvel math right there, and I actually totally
It's
see what you're
interesting.
saying.
And
Color theory. I like it.
Secondly, her mother, who's the last one to survive, when she channels the most power, also builds an ethereal crown around the top of her head that's not dissimilar from Scarlet Witch's. as if her mother is like the leader of that kind of magic. So she may be the Opal Witch or whatever. I don't know what Marvel's going to try and say.
Oh, we're doing some Green Lantern shit?
Maybe. Like, it seems
I would actually be very for some Green Lantern shit.
It seems like that's where they're going, because there's no other person that has a crown like that that's you know what I mean? Like, why would you show her with that crown? And so like,
if you gathered every color witch, they would all wear a different color that crown, sure. Basically.
And if there's so much.
The master, if the master of a certain magic is a being that is passed down onto the next, then
how would they get inside the Mind Stone then? Like, what? How does that connect to the Mind Stone?
They didn't. Not all of them. The Scarlet Witch is chaos. The Mind Stone. The Mind Stone causes chaos. That's its goal.
No, the Mind Stone doesn't cause.
Yes,
chaos.
Look at how Loki used it to control minds and cause chaos.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's because Loki is the god of chaos. The god of mischief.
Yeah.
He used the Mind Stone to control minds.
Yes, the stone existed before Loki, though, which means Loki was attracted to it because there was some.
The thing that the stone does has to do with.
But when Vision uses it does not cause chaos.
Exactly.
It's the wielder.
It's literally his mind. The Mind Stone controls minds. So what is the connection with the Mind Stone to the Scarlet Witch? We don't know that yet.
Because
I have no idea.
The mind is the easiest place to sow chaos. But look at how the Mind Stone's been used in the Marvel movies. I'm not trying to be like big brained or anything here. Like Loki used it to control minds.
And
sure. when they came out of the mind control, Clint specifically says it felt like someone was in control of him and he was fighting them.
Sure.
Right, that's the mind.
Mind control, yes.
Sure. This whole season is about people's minds being completely controlled. To the point that there's noise inside them, which is not dissimilar from chaos.
Chaos magic. If you're saying that chaos magic is like a crowning achievement,
I'm saying that the show is connecting the two, because the entity of chaos magic, the Scarlet Witch, was in the Mind Stone and able to speak to Wanda.
Right. I'm asking, how did she get in the Mind Stone?
How would I know that?
Well, that's
we had different reads of that. I thought the Mind Stone was just showing her
it may have been a
vision.
It may have been a
but it could have been, it could have been anything. It's a magic rock, and the answer to what can the magic rock do is literally
whatever
anything.
We want it to.
I know that they say it's like this kind of rock, but any of the rocks can do anything. And I need us all, we all just need to like shake hands and accept that.
Communicate with each other, right? Which is why you see Wanda. Sort of. On the one hand, it was like, well, Wanda can actually do stuff that's more than just what the Mind Stone gave her. But now, oh my god, and this is the part that I really wanted to talk about with y'all. The fact
big-brained.
That big brain, right?
Galaxy brain.
Wanda was a witch before the Mind Stone got in contact with her.
Was she?
Yes.
Yes.
Was she?
Yes.
Yes.
Because she tries to magic the missile.
But when Agatha
she casts magic missile on the missile.
Did you do something to that? She goes, no.
But she was going to.
Well, I don't.
But we never.
Pietro had to stop and say, no, don't do that. Exactly. But she was going to do it.
I very clearly see it as Agatha knows. Agatha knew. Right? And this whole thing.
Agatha knew what?
Knew that she was actually a witch before any of this happened. I think here's the deal. If they don't do this, then I think that they're missing a golden opportunity, because what they've effectively done is they've retconned the situation so that
she was a mutant.
Wanda and Pietro were both mutants with an untapped mutant gene, and that's the reason why the two of them were the only ones that survived the Mind Stone experiments. And we immediately get an introduction to mutants, and we don't need to somehow... This is a super effective retcon for the only two mutants that currently exist in the MCU, to make them mutants without having to do some nonsense stuff to be like, no, they were actually mutants the whole time, and the Mind Stone didn't give them powers. Their mutant abilities helped them survive the Mind Stone, and it brought them out faster.
It was the X gene all along.
Right. And at that point, and I literally, I when I saw that, I was like, I hope that they stick with this, because I love that. That is such a wonderfully executed retcon,
Absolutely.
And I like that, because it just works for me. So there. But I could totally see literally when
I think that
he-
Monica's a mutant now.
she's a
That would be
mutate.
cool. Yeah, that would be. Excuse me. A person that gains mutant abilities, but not from their natural birth, would be a mutate. They've been experimented on and grafted with the X gene, so she would be a mutate.
Well, she walks back
Um,
into the bubble, and the bubble rewrites your genetic makeup, so she
Right.
could now be a actual genetic mutant.
Right.
Sure.
Would odd Marvel question. Would the Hulk then be a mutate as well? Because he went through...
No, nuclear is its own thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Gamma radiation is its own thing. They have their own hell. It's a whole thing.
Right. I didn't even realize, though, that Monica technically would be considered to have the mutant gene now. I just thought she was mutated.
I don't know if she does.
They do tests on her when she comes back the first time.
Uh-huh.
And, like,
Yes.
her body's fucked.
Because she's gone through the things
chest
twice,
cavity
yeah.
X-rays, like, all white. And, like, all of her cells are fucking, what the fuck? So they say you can't go back into it because it'll rewrite you. And then she goes back into it, so it rewrote her. So, like...
It could be, yeah.
It would make sense for her genome to have been remapped. Which would also...
It could be an X thing, or it could be X other, Marvel,
it comes out
blah,
to, like,
blah,
does
blah.
she now have
thing.
the X gene because it was rewritten, or did she just have her
Well, I mean, it
inside
would make-
rewritten
it would
and now
make
she's
sense.
got Spectrum?
It would make sense that if Wanda is a mutant and she's creating a reality in which she imagines things the way they should be, that she may accidentally create mutants out of people that walk into it.
That could be.
Because she wouldn't know it's different, right? No one's said anything about it yet.
Yeah. Well,
That could be very interesting. But
I want to get back to the thing that I was bringing up before we got into the conversation of whether or not Scarlet Witch is an entity. Like the fact that Hayward knows things about Scarlet Witch to me means it's someone who's existed before, because you can know things about it, right? And like,
sure.
he says that with so much fucking confidence, y'all, and she has no clue what he's talking about, and then she goes and does it, which makes me feel like he said that shit on purpose.
Interesting.
Because he knew that she would
missed
go
whatever
fucking...
line you're talking about. So,
When
I know what
she's
he's
looking
talking
at the room where he's cut up, when she's looking at the room where Vision is cut up, he says she can't take him because she'll turn him back on. And she's like, what? And he's like, you can bring back people that you love. And she's like, no, I can't. Like, it's a real quick...
she's like, even if I could, I wouldn't.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
and
a real
then
quick
later
follow.
on...
interesting.
But the thing is, no, and then
But
she
says it
proves
in
to
the
us that she actually can also, on top of the fact that she already did, because he takes that drone that they sent in that's laced with all of her power residue and uses it to put him back online.
Yeah, but he uses it as an energy source. Right,
Right,
which
but
isn't
it's
exactly
specifically her energy that he needed to bring him back online, which fits into that same thing of you have the power to do this.
It would also make sense for him to then be the reason why, like, the reason why this kind of happens. Or at least in this capacity, because he puts thoughts in her head and then she goes and fucking does it.
Right.
And that doesn't seem like it was an accident if you're the one that's like, fucking, you can do this. And just said, what? And then, of course, she wants to go do that. And she, in grief, rebuilds him because in the back of her head, she knows that she can. But there's a couple lines in this episode fucking got me. Episode 8's incredible.
It's so good. It's so
good app.
It's incredible.
Some great dialogue, too, yeah.
Yeah, it's real good.
Oh, my God.
The first one is when, in Endgame, when they're in Czechoslovakia, there's a moment where Vision looks at Wanda and is like, you can see into people's minds. Like, can you do that for the stone and tell me what's in here? I want to know if I'm being controlled, whatever. He's trying to, like, make sure he's not a puppet. She puts her hand up and reads it, and she says, I only feel you.
Right.
And then in this episode, she puts her hand over the same spot and says, I don't feel you, which fucking hurt. Holy shit. Yeah. I was like,
when I saw
damn.
that, I was like, absolutely, as you should. That is
Fucked
the correct
up.
line right there.
Yeah, that.
Fucked up.
Ugh. And then the other one's the whole conversation about grief.
Oh my
and just
God,
how
what's the
fucking
thing?
tender that is.
What
and
is it?
how he says, but
what is grief if not love persevering?
Not love persevering. Oh, I was like, damn, that is...
And that became a whole Twitter war in the intervening, 4 days
Wait, really?
since this. Yeah, because I'm not going to get into it, but basically I would like to remind everyone that not everything about every show needs to be a culture war that we all shit on each other over. Sometimes some people can enjoy a line for... Okay, so someone took the love persevering line. What is grief if not love persevering? Yeah. And wrote and took a screenshot of it. I can't believe you all missed this. And above it wrote something to the effect of, what's that you're hearing? It's a reverent fuck spoken by every screenwriter on earth over that line. Some people took that as like it's like a good line, but like it's not reinventing the wheel of good quotes about love, you know what I mean? And then people started shitting on each other. Anyway, I'd like to remind everyone that superheroes are for fun, and there's no reason to shit on strangers over their opinions about a superhero show. Yes, it's true that television did in fact exist before 2021, but it's also okay for someone to like something. It's okay. Everyone's okay. Done with drama, not giving it any more light. But that scene works because this show like slowed down for a second and stopped trying to be 4 shows and was just like, now we're gonna have a quiet scene between these two that we've been waiting on, and that felt good and kind of actually fleshed out this relationship as a relationship in a way that these two really needed, because most of their relationship takes place off screen between movies, and it is implied to have happened, but this all means a lot more when we actually take these moments and have a good actual scene between these two where they are intimate with one another in an emotional
also,
way.
Like, the way that this show has been set up beforehand, though, is we see them together a lot for these first few episodes, but even still, it's under the guise of in Wanda's bubble, right? Under the hat.
Yeah, it's a weird fakey Dick Van Dyke
fully
pastiche.
There, and so then when you get this moment, it's like, whoa, like this is like awesome. We get like back in the real world, like both of them in the real world, because we haven't seen Wanda outside of the real world except for these flashbacks. You know, I'm just
absolutes.
What was it? Here's my question for y'all regarding this last episode. I guess it's not as much a question. You know, it's as more like I want your thoughts on this. I think at some point in this fight or confrontation or whatever it is that we get in this last episode, because they're gonna send White Vision in to try and do something, to try and incapacitate Wanda or something, right? We are going to see somehow Vision and White Vision merge, and that's how we're going to get Vision back in like a corporeal form.
I think we are exactly going to get our Vision phasing inside of White Vision, but it is not going to be how we get Vision back. It is how our Vision is going to kill other Vision. And my interpretation would be that there's going to be some kind of scene where Vision says, "Let me go, Wanda. You just have to let me go," and that's when she like has to like break something. And that's how she's going to have to destroy Vision for real.
I don't think they're going to do an entire series with the Vision just to say, okay, no, you're right, he's actually gone forever. I think
that would be incredible, though.
Yeah, that would actually be a good show if it was about grief and it ends with acceptance of grief, not a show about grief, but she gets everything she wished for at the end of it. It would be a very good show if she let him go, and it'll probably be some like contrived action movie, like you have to smash the thing, but she has to let him go. This is unsatisfying to me if Vision is fine at the end of this.
Alternatively, they could interweave each other and it just overwrite Vision's memory. So he's still a good dude, but he doesn't love her because that never happened. Which would be worse. Oh. Which would be worse than your loved one dying.
Oh, the flesh cell of my lover is walking around and it hates me. It hates me.
But even the Vision that she brought back, right? That doesn't remember anything before he was brought back, still loves her. That's like the one thing he does know, right?
Yeah, but she recreates like a state of him, right? And like
Right, that's fair.
So in that
She opened a Vision save file.
Right,
She
right.
she opened
She
the
inserted
she save scummed
nothing
Vision.
else.
Yeah.
She inserted Vision memory card A and pulled up like an idea of
A file.
of
She
Vision.
goes through his files, and there's one that says Wanda Maximoff. That one in it, none of the other
Vision.exe,
ones.
and she clicks it and it goes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this
she
white,
opened
this white Vision is
So very cool.
a reset, like a complete reboot. So
Yeah.
he would have no recollection of anything.
yeah.
Which
Oh,
would
Vision-
make
He's gonna
sense.
try and beat the shit out of him.
Which would make sense because what's Vision without the Mind Stone? Ultron's creation.
Right.
It would make so much sense for James Spader's voice to come out of that body. I'm just saying.
You're calling it now.
I'm just saying. And I would absolutely scream.
So we've been going for a minute, and we do have to talk about Community, but there is one last topic that we simply must cover in this edition of WandaVision Visions, and it is my crow-free stomach. It is my, I will not be flossing my teeth with black feathers today, no sir. And that is all I have to say.
Oh yeah.
Just
It's
for anyone
it's
keeping
now
track at home,
confirmed-
would have been a good live stream, would have been.
No, it's now confirmed
prepared
that
and
it
ate
is
a crow.
not a coven that has taken over New Salem, and
Correct.
and
It is not the. It was indeed a town called Westview before she got there, and the bubble stayed one size and then it got bigger. And that's it. We just had to cover the Crow Runner that we've been dealing with. We have to pay off that plot line.
Kevin and I did giggle a little bit when we texted briefly because when she goes downstairs and there's like a mention of like they start the episode off with a coven and
I was like, oh no. Crow near me.
and then it expands
Going on
further, it's like,
seamless
no, it's a different
searching
coven from
Crow.
way before and you're like, oh thank God.
I did call the Agatha period clothing in Salem scene. I did call that.
Sure.
Yeah,
I will-
sure.
I'll tuck that onto my lip. What do you mean? I mean, sure. It's exactly what happened.
No, yeah,
No,
sure.
that's what happened. I
I'm
remember
saying
that.
yes.
This was fun.
I'm agreeing with
I
you.
mean, sure. I guess.
I mean, sure, if you're taking consolation prizes. Just kidding.
What if Hayward's Mephisto?
Oh my God.
Oh.
We're not getting Mephisto. We're not.
Only
I
if
think-
he rips open his body
And
and
is a
it's
demon.
like
It's just
Al,
in his
Al
statement.
Pacino
Yeah.
or something. Like, yeah, it's just fucking.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with it in
Like,
that
it's
instance.
Nightmare,
If it
it's
is,
Mephisto, and I'm like, I don't think it's anybody. Quite frankly, I think we've got our characters right now.
I should hope to God we're not about to introduce another being into this show in the last episode.
They
Do you know how much
introduced
that would
2
fucking
supers.
suck? Exactly.
4.
I
They've
think we're
introduced
good.
4 supers.
I think
Monica,
Monica,
Agatha.
Agatha, and the twins.
Oh, and the
Technically
twins, of
5
course.
if you want to consider White Vision as an entirely new super. But like, yeah, like this is.
He hasn't been around long enough that I think he's going to stick around. I think that is going to be a big pile of body at the end of the episode, but we'll see.
Didn't
It's actually going to happen
Ultron-
off screen.
Didn't Ultron take on a flesh body once too in the comics, and then like
Sure.
infiltrate the government and try to destroy the Avengers?
Sure.
What if he? What? If,
Oh, he's Ultron. You're set on this Ultron
Dude,
thing.
I just wanted
You're
to
fine.
Tyler Hayward is actually Ultron. If Tyler Hayward is actually Ultron,
Like, if the skin peels back and it's all 8 feet of Ultron. And I want them to not try and justify it one bit. I want an 8-foot man to emerge out of that man's body. That is my heart's desire. Okay, now let's get on over. That was our penultimate WandaVision visions. We're coming right up. Final episode in just a few days. Exciting stuff.
yeah.